video on my experience with psychedelics, DMT particularly, LSD and psilocybin. I feel like are also important to talk about. So, this is a kind of an educational video, as my experiences were quite educational. My experience with DMT was very crazy. I've done it several times in my life, but my particular experience, though, was that it felt almost like the 3D was 2D, if that makes sense, and that I could see beyond. Like, I could see in dimensions I couldn't previously see. And it's like when you open up your pineal gland, you see different I don't know how to explain it. It's hard. Like, the experience is not words. That's the best way I could say it. It's like you see in depths that you never saw before. You see what's alive and what isn't, and the world looks very alien, from that perspective. It's very it almost feels like you're inside a simulation, which is why I see why people are like, this is a simulation. I'm like, yeah, if you've done DMT, it definitely feels that way. It's like unplugging from the Matrix and realizing that the Matrix actually looks fake as fuck. It's like realizing that you're a video game character. That's what it's like. And sorry, I vape a lot. I'm not sorry. I'm just gonna vape a lot. It's the feeling of DMT is like the womp-womps. It's similar to, I don't know if you've ever done like whippets. It's like whippets, but it doesn't fry your brain. And it feels like you're being born and dying at the same time. I don't think it should last more than 15 minutes, honestly. Like, acid, I love that it lasts 16 hours. Like, it's deep. You still get that interdimensional kind of feel. And it feels like you're having conversations with the universe, right? Like, it's an unspoken language, but it's understood. Like, you understand the messages coming through. When you pull through from like a psychedelic trip, at least from my experience, it's like I came out with more understanding, with more philosophy, more spirituality, and even sciences, It's like I just came through getting it. Things just started clicking and making more sense. Even the way that, like, I operated started making more sense. It's weird to me that psychedelics would be labeled in the same area as like heroin or meth. That seems kind of crazy to me, because it's definitely not. I mean, not that I've done heroin or meth, but it's not like a man-made thing, It's not. It's something natural that's extracted, And the experience is so spiritual and so enlightening. Like, when people talk about, I saw a post recently where this person was text messaging somebody, and they're like the person was like, hey, and they're like, hey, I'm on acid, and the energies tell me that you're not good, or that you have bad energy around you or something. You have bad vibes. I don't know. It was something to that effect. And And they're like, what? And they're like, I'm on drugs and the energies are telling me that not to talk to you or whatever, you know? And I feel like that's the best way that it could be described, is like you feel energy speaking to you, like you understand the consciousness of the energy that is around you. And it totally makes sense on a scientific level that energy would have cognition as well, because like all that lives is, you know, has its own intelligence for survival, right? Even rocks, you know, being different species and stuff, they can be harnessers of energy. They can do pretty amazing things. Rocks are travelers, right? Some of the best travelers in the world. They don't have to fucking move a muscle. The minerals are actually beneficial to us when we consume minerals. You know, like salt is technically like a crystal, right? It's a stone we consume. And look at all the health benefits we get from salt. I mean, there are unhealthy benefits too, like high blood pressure and things like that. But it's cleansing. They use sea salt for cleaning wounds, for muscle pain. If you take Epsom salt baths, you know, it takes away pain and toxins, and it's very it's a beautiful thing, you know. Like on so many levels, we see the benefits of crystals and stones, and even in my own life, there was one day I was like, I had gotten a divorce. I was moving from my house. I wanted to change my jobs, you know, and so I left a job interview that I wasn't sure about. I was like, I don't see that happening, you know. And then I went to this metaphysics shop, right? And I looked at the girl running it, and I was like, listen, witch, I need some gemstones, right? And I was like, she's like, okay, what do you need the stones for? And so I told her my situation. And so she gives me angel aura quartz and pyrite, aka fool's gold. And I was like, alright, I'm gonna take these stones and just see what happens. See what kind of magic comes out of this. And when I went, like, I think I got down 2 blocks, and I ran into my friend Misty that I used to work with. And her and I just happened to have time, and I was like, hey, let's stop in and have lunch and talk and whatever. And she was like, yeah, dude, sounds good. So we went to a restaurant, and we had lunch and drinks, and we were just chilling. And she's like, look, I need a nanny, a living nanny so bad right now. And she's like, but everyone else is like locked into their jobs, or, you know, they're on a lease, or there's reasons that they can't do it. And I was like, that's fucking crazy, bro. And I was like, because ironically, I need to move and I need a new job, like, really fast. So that's, you know, it's amazing how that, like, kind of lined up. And I love working with kids. To this day, I love her daughter. Like, she's super great. And, yeah, so I went and I was a nanny for a while. And it ended up being, like, a saving grace for me. You know, it wasn't a permanent solution to life, but it was definitely, like, a stepping stone that, like, got me to that next, you know, level, the next chapter. And so I feel that, you know, and there are people who would argue, I'm sure, oh, the crystals had nothing to do with it and stuff, but there was an energetic alignment that was crazy. And it only happens under like circumstances like that for me, where there's seemingly no answer, or like I'm like, come on, spirit, I need something. Like, to me, that was a pretty spiritual experience. Anytime I've ever carried rose quartz with me, I've been asked out on dates, you know, and it's like, and I see in my own day-to-day life that there is, you know, at least for me personally, you know, everyone's different, everyone believes different. I ain't trying to change nobody's mind. This is for people who are on that path, you know, people who understand what I'm saying, who vibe with it. And for me, I feel that, you know, our interconnectedness with these minerals, with these crystals, with, you know, all these things is kind of powerful. I mean, within our own pineal glands in our brains, we have crystals, right? And I feel that when we do psychedelics, those receptors are activated, right? And there's a reason that all throughout history we've used certain shapes and we've used certain gems to gain truth or understanding. You know, there's a reason that pyramids are, well, they're not triangular, but they're pyramid shaped, you know, and I say that because they have 4 corners. Despite their appearance, you know, but they're like antenna, you know, and I feel that they wanted to make sure that when they moved on to the next life, because these pyramids have been used as tombs and such, that they were in alignment with the coordinates of the stars, you know, for reasons, you know, and for reasons that we're still kind of trying to figure out. But the pyramids do line up with certain star coordinates. And, I mean, it would take somebody who knows a whole lot about celestial charting to navigate that kind of a map. And this is where I get into my extraterrestrial shit. You know, there's 11 known dimensions, right? There could be several more, but there are 11 that we have mathematically formulated, right? And most people only perceive the third dimension, right? Some people don't even have an internal monologue, which is fucking crazy. It's like they have no pineal gland. It's like their crystals are too calcified. So this is definitely not a video for those people, right? There's some people who will never get it. And it's almost like the divine has removed its hand from them, right? And it's kind of sad, but it's like if people refuse to, you know, listen to their intuition, or they refuse to be open to or receptive to the messages of the energies, especially during a time of psychedelics, you're not going to get it, you know? There has to be a level of receptivity, and it's not like hearing voices, right? So, you know, although I do believe that schizophrenia is linked to mind reading, actually, because most of the time when I've dealt with people who were schizophrenic, they'd have all these crazy experiences with other people, and then when they're around me, they're like, oh, I feel like a sense of peace with you, and I'm like, well, it's because I'm not saying negative things about you in my brain, actually, and I feel like you can hear and understand those things. I really do. I believe that they you know, and if they don't understand that they're, you know, perceiving, you know, other people's thoughts, perceptions, that could be pretty detrimental to their mental health, right? And even to those around them, when they're sitting there saying, hey, like, I heard these, you know, these are what the voices are telling me, da-da-da, ain't nobody gonna be like, oh yeah, that was my brain saying that, actually, you know, it's like, yeah, instead they'd rather, like, mark them as crazy and not really look deeper into the issue. And I'm very into, like, Carl Jungian style of understanding the human psyche. I think it's very importante. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of what I've gained from my psychedelic experiences, like with mushrooms, I kind of touched on this in the comments in a previous video, but with mushrooms, they're less predictable than DMT and acid. It's like mushrooms have their own individual soul, so the way that they're received, or, you know, the experiences that you have on them are going to be very unique to each mushroom too. You know, it could be the same damn species and it's going to have a different experience, you know. People respond to you differently. My friend and I actually did this. We did acid one time and we went and played trivia, and we would have got first place if we would have stopped yelling out all the answers, you know, but it was crazy because I've done trivia, you know, many times where I'm like, oh, I don't know the answer to that or whatever. But then it was like this particular time, like, I wasn't much of a Star Wars person. I'm a Trekkie, bro. And it was fucking hilarious because they asked the question, like, who was prisoner, blah, 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 and I think it was the Empire Strikes Back or some shit. I don't know. I'm not a Star Wars person. My children are. So, and I was like, oh, that was Princess Leia. And they're like, you know, and I was like, I don't know how the fuck I knew that, because, like, I don't watch Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars person. And I know I'm going to lose a lot of friends for that, but whatever. If our friendship is so superficial, goodbye. I just don't see the appeal in watching basically what's going on in our life now. I can watch this shit unfold in real life. You know? With Star Trek, at least there was, like, philosophy and depth. There was Captain Picard. Captain Kirk was kind of a hope, but whatever, you know. I feel, though, that there are experiences that can be really beneficial through a psychedelic experience. There are also people who use it simply to party, and I feel like those are the people who misuse it, because it's such a spiritual experience, you know. Like, one time I had done acid, and I just laid there and I was like staring at the wall, receiving my messages, and my sister and her friend were like, why are you just staring at that wall? Because they had the TV on, and I'm like, I literally cannot look at a screen right now. And I was like, it's just too alien. It's too weird. I was like, right now, I'm getting some downloads, you know, I've got some messages for the people, like, there's some stuff I'm connecting with right now, and I'm like, you can't. And so I do definitely know that my experiences with psychedelics are not the same that other people experience. Like, when people can watch TV and be on their phones and stuff during psychedelics, that's really hard for me. I'd much rather be laying in the grass just, like, staring up at the sky, you know? or like playing with bugs and communicating with animals. I know it's weird, but my experience is definitely not like everybody else's, and I feel that if you do have questions about that, you should definitely endeavor that path. You should definitely seek it out yourself. I worked with a Lakota medicine man once, and he said that the medicine will always find you when you need it. And I strongly believe that the medicine does find you. Because there are times where I'm like, I need answers, and like, I need to just open up and be able to receive deeper, because, there's a level of, after my first trip, I still have been very open, and I've always had kind of that about me, though, with crazy dreams and visions and matrix glitches, deja vu and shit. And it's only been amplified through these processes, through these experiences. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that neurons that fire together wire together. So if you're firing off neurons in your brain that aren't typically fired off on your day-to-day life, you're going to activate more of your brain. So you're able to access, different potentialities. The average brain, only uses like 20% of it at a time. Sometimes more, probably, but it depends on the brain, right? Very subjective. So, if you're looking to open up those receptors and see, because it's weird to look at the third dimension and have it feel like the second, and understanding that just means how low you are on the scale of perception, as a being, because there's so much more to be perceived. There's, and that's another reason why I know that interdimensional and higher dimensional beings have to exist. In the same way that like an ant can't perceive past the second dimension, yet we can interfere with its life, and it'll have no cognitive understanding that we have built an ant farm for it. It doesn't understand that we are the gods that are fucking waging war on them, right? When we're setting up ant traps and hosing ant hills and whatever the fuck you do with ants, they don't understand that we are the higher dimensional gods in that scenario, right? Because the third dimension to them is too fucking big. And it's like standing too close to an elephant. And that's really where we're all at. We're all standing too close to the elephant to understand that Earth itself is a conscious living thing. Earth itself is a mother of us, She's the goddess in the sky. And I don't think that a lot of people get that. As are, Mars and Pluto and all these, they're the gods and goddesses in the sky. And I do believe that they have cognition beyond what you perceive, because even they are small to the universe. And what if they can communicate with one another? And the way that their retrogrades affect us on Earth says a lot about that. Actually, the way that the moon controls the tides say a lot about that. And so I actually feel that there is a lot that a plebeian brain is not going to comprehend in regards to reality. Reality is much stranger than what you think, not the opposite, and that's why when there's naysayers or people who want to think in such black and white figures, like, no, this is reality and this is just how it is, it's like, dude, you ain't even seeing the same reality as me. You have more or less cones in your retinas than me, so we ain't even seeing the same color schemes, right? We're not hearing the same things based on our ability, our hearing capabilities. We're not feeling the same things because, like some of us experience pain way more intense, others of us experience it way less intense. It's just, it is what it is. So even from person to person, reality is fucking different. So why would it be so stark, so black and white, so just, I don't know. I think that people who disregard the magic of the universe are, you know what, I'm not even going to insult them like this, but I'm just going to say I'm thinking very insulting thoughts about that. Okay, I'm sure that the message is received, right? Like, people who can't fucking see the magic in it all, because I can't look around and not see the magic in it all. Good, bad, happy, sad, whatever, is all magic, right? And our ability to, like, I mean, even our technological capabilities are indicative of magic, right? What is energy? What lights are light bulbs, right? What makes the Wi-Fi work? What makes the Bluetooth work, right? It's all invisible forces that you can't see with your eyes, but you can harness it, you can wield it, you can make it work, right? That's fucking magic, bro. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go because I'm almost to my destination. I just wanted to go on this tangent about that, and I know I didn't really say enough about psychedelics, but I feel like it's like what Alan Watts says. It's, some experiences are just not words, you know, it's just not words. And I recommend to those of you who feel the calling to try those things, to experience those things, to actually, like, do it, you know. It doesn't hurt, and if anything, it makes your brain operate a lot, or with a lot more ease, you know. It's like your problem solving skills just go way the hell up. I've done IQ tests before and after doing psychedelics, and even noticed a difference, because I'm, like, very sciencey, and I wanted to know. I'm like, well, does it affect me? Like, how does it affect me? And, you know, I've only seen benefits. So, and another thing is like, things like acid, they're not really habit forming, because if you try to do it too often, it stops working. And it's not really meant to be like an everyday thing. It's not a pill you take, you know? It's like you take acid one time and then your brain resets for the next 6 months. It's not like a doctor prescribed thing. And I think that's also why doctors don't prescribe it to people who struggle with mental health issues, because they can't profit off of it the way that they would like to. Alright? They're a bunch of big pharma goonies, you know, like, just a bunch of fucking mobsters. Big pharma is just another fucking head of the giant beast, you know. And yeah, it's done some good things, but that's how it appeals to you. And then that's how they start feeding you the bad shit. But anyway, enough about all this. Namaste. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one.